Tonight we're going to start a lecture on the Rize of the Moorz in celebration of our summer solstice. This is our summer solstice message. I think everyone has an outline.
Yes.
You can see on the outline, I have 5 items I'm going to discuss. The first item is Eye of Islam. 2 eyes and 1 world. There is a question. What do you call yourself? Am I a slave or am I a sovereign? And you can't live in 2 worlds because there is only 1 world. So you have to make up your mind as to which which I you're going to be. Am I a slave or am I a sovereign? And the problem that so many people face who take their initiation to be sovereign is that it's so hard to be sovereign when all of your life you've been a slave. There are so many obstacles to living as a sovereign, and the primary obstacle is our own interpretation of ourselves. The hardest part of being a sovereign is to be able to stand on your square when you know you are right. Because all of the people you will encounter, nearly all of them, will discourage you because they have a slave mentality, they think like slaves, and they challenge you to continue to think like a slave in so many ways. Let's give some examples. You shouldn't be tax exempt. If you don't pay taxes, I shouldn't have to pay taxes. Your tax exemption is for you and you only. That's not to say that if you take your family out to dinner that you shouldn't pay for it and use your tax exempt status. Very well, you should. But we're at a juncture now where we're going to be receiving our Great Seal Code. And when you get that code is yours and yours alone. It is something that you should protect and keep private at all times. It is not for you to give out on loan to your family and friends. Is that understood?
Yes.
Because the fastest way for us to fall in our own system is to let others abuse it. Alright? I was in a discussion with someone just yesterday, and I was discussing the issue of state boards. And I was discussing this issue about tax exemption. And the response was, well, it's just a matter of time before it won't work. It's just a matter of time before they're going to crack down and make everybody, they are going to crack down and make everybody pay taxes. So my question was, who is they? Who is the famous they that everybody talks about that's eventually going to catch up and make somebody do something? And the other side of it is that the famous they that they're talking about is the sovereign. Remember I told you even Queen Elizabeth paid taxes. To whom is she paying taxes? If she's the sovereign. To whom is she paying her taxes? Obviously, if she pays taxes, she is not a sovereign. She should not be calling herself a queen if she is paying taxes, because that means that her taxes are going to pay some sovereign somewhere. Who, pray tell, is that? Now, this is a very good question, because we tend to think of ourselves as being sovereign here in the United States. To what boundaries do the United States extend? There are no boundaries, because the Moors colonized the world. From here first and colonized the world. So when you look at it from that standpoint, eventually our empire will expand to include the whole world. And they will answer to us. And they will pay taxes. And right now there is no sovereign collecting those taxes. Not from her, not from anybody. There's a reason for that. And it's not just because our government is not in place yet. There's a reason for it, because the whole thing about the tax issue right here is a hoax. Did you know that? Did you know that the whole system of paying taxes is a hoax? It's one big lie. It is a joke. I ask you, when you get your paycheck and you are now not paying taxes, those are just numbers on a sheet of paper. Is it money? Now, those figures on that sheet of paper that are now larger in your benefit, that were once taken by some infamous group of people known as the IRS, for payment into the United States Treasury. Those numbers, say it was $500 in 1 month. That $500 that they say was taxes went where? Don and I had this discussion the other day. Where did it go?
Yeah.
Okay, let's back up. You write a check. You write a check.
In relationship to hotel, it's a P.O. box number, and it's a little room. It's not really any agency at all.
It's not in the room. Well, you know Hopeville doesn't exist.
Right.
Now, my question is this. You write a check, and you write it payable, say, to me. I deposit your check into my bank account, right? My bank then does what? They do what? They pass it through to the Federal Reserve Bank, and the Federal Reserve Bank then does what with it? Send it to your bank, right? And then your bank does what? They do what? They send it to you. All right. So here's a check that you filled out and wrote it to me. I put it in the bank. The bank did what now?
Send it to the treasury.
No. The bank sent it to the Federal Reserve Bank.
Right.
And the Federal Reserve Bank did what?
Send it to your bank.
Send it to your bank.
Right.
Because you wrote me the check. Right? I put it in my bank. My bank sent it to the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve sent it to your bank. And your bank does what?
Send it to you.
Where's the money? Thank you. What has just happened? Did you follow the paper trail? No. See, the hand is quicker than I. Are you a slave or are you a sovereign? See, a sovereign can follow the paper trail and not be misled by all the fancy movements of this hand, while this hand is really in your pocket. Where's the money? While everybody's over here looking and thinking they can write checks, they money orders and this and that, Federal Reserve notes. What? Where is the money? So don't tell me that people in reality are paying taxes. They are not. You are paying what appears to be a tax because they have a lie, just like the slavery lie. They have a lie about money that they must keep going because everybody thinks like a slave, and they'll never see the truth of that lie unless they think like a sovereign. That as long as they keep the IRS and keep pressure on people, and people are scared to death, they'll never think sovereign. They'll never look for the real treasure. They'll never look for the money. Is it in the Federal Reserve Bank?
No.
Is it in your bank?
No.
Is it in my bank?
No.
Where's the money?
The money is, okay, we know that currency is metal, is gold, silver, that kind of stuff. So it would have to be in somewhere, it would have to be wherever they're keeping the gold.
It's kept somewhere.
Right.
That's my point. But my point is also that we're talking about Islam. Slaves pay taxes. Sovereigns don't pay taxes. One of the reasons that no one will challenge us when we say we are tax exempt is because the whole damn thing is a hoax. And if they want to challenge a sovereign, someone who thinks, not just act like a sovereign sometimes. You have to be a sovereign inside and out, and when they come to you and say anything, if someone happens to say anything, you say, well, follow this paper trail and tell me where there's some money, and then we can discuss if there are any taxes owed. Alright? It has been said that for certain, two things exist, death and taxes. Who's paying taxes? How can Queen Elizabeth pay a tax when there's no money to be used? They're all liars. They're all liars. So all we've done is remove ourselves from the hoax. We say, we know there's a hoax going on. We're being cunningly deceived, and we're not going to play that game. Get us out of there. What we're really operating with is credit. Yes.
So when they talk about tax shelters and loopholes that these multi-million-dollar corporations, that means they just don't pay tax. And they're saying that they have a way of getting around tax. That means that they should move themselves.
They're not removing themselves from it. There's always a substitute, something going on with corporations. There's a give and take. And the corporations, the major corporations who they allow that to happen with, are the ones who know the hoax. Right. They're a party to it.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay?
They're aware.
Oh, yeah.
So they just throw out the word tax shelter and loophole.
They're lying to people. It's one big con game, one big scheme with a whole bunch of conspirators.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
All right? Yeah. That's exactly what it is. Sovereign, of course, I should put here, state the slave is no taxes. Over here, on the sovereign side, there is not even a discussion of taxes. Taxes are non-existent. They don't exist. They can't. They can't. Because what is a tax? If there was no money being transferred, what is a tax anyway?
It's supposedly money being taken from the people to support a government.
No, that is not what a tax is. A tax is a surcharge on the excess. On the excess. Remember, this is from one of the middle range classes, I don't know which one, where we said, when you say you're a not-for-profit, what are you saying? You're saying that I charge exactly the value of what something is worth. Or I receive actually the value of what something is worth. And then the bottom line, my assets and my liabilities are going to equal zero in the end. And if I have a surplus, I take that surplus and reuse it in my organization so that I still end up with a 0-0 balance. Okay? A for-profit company pays taxes because if the value of an item is $10, they charge you $30. So they must pay a tax on the excess because they have overcharged you. That's why corporations pay taxes, because they charge more than what something is worth. On the sovereign side, the reason there are no taxes is because you have value equals value. So value for substance, substance for value. Everything is equal. You don't charge more an hour for your services than what your services are worth. You don't pay $10 for an item and then go and charge somebody $30 for that item. You may pay $10 for it and then calculate only your expenses for acquiring the item, okay, and include that so that you get reimbursed for your time and energy and the money you spent, but you don't charge any more than that, and corporations don't do that. Corporations charge the value of what the item is worth. They charge how much it costs them to process it and deal with it, and then they charge you over and beyond, maybe even 100% more than that. That's why corporations pay taxes. So when you say, which am I, you say, and this is the primary issue, and I'm going to move on to the next one. Which world, I mean, there's only one world, but there are two ways to live in it. Okay? And this is the same thing when we talk about interest. What is interest? Interest is profit over and beyond that which you should have received. That's what interest is. Do we understand? That's why you have to pay taxes on interest income, because it's over and beyond that which you should receive. And this is why not-for-profit organizations do not get interest on their bank account, because it's value for value. Now, the bank will hold it for you, but you won't get any interest for it. So this is the same thing, and we as Moors have, when we talk about sovereignty, over here in sovereignty, there is no interest. This is why in Muslim countries, and the people who adhere to Islamism and a strict sense cannot have bank accounts. Did you know that?
They cannot have bank.
No, because banks give interest. Banks give interest. So if they have a bank account, now they'll be receiving interest on their savings. They can put their money in a credit union that doesn't pay interest because they're a shareholder. Because the idea is sovereignty. Sovereignty says interest is over and beyond what you should receive. So don't get all, glorified over this idea of sovereignty and then be out saying, well, I want to be tax exempt, but I want to receive interest on my money too. No.
My bank did it already.
Say what?
My bank did stop it already.
Stopped it already. For everybody.
Well, for me,
For you.
I mean, for the sovereign tax account, because I'm not paying the federal taxes, they're putting another religious complicated.
They should not. So you might look at that as what? Downside to sovereignty? But look at it from this standpoint. Once you're completely out this side right here, the taxes over here, the taxes are non-existent. Think about the rest of your life, the revenue that you make, you will never have to pay taxes again. And see, what we have to do, Brother Luis comes in and talks about his child that's going to be born into this world, another Moor, meaning that he's intending to have that child in this side, on this sovereign side, so that it starts with him not paying taxes, but look at his posterity down the I should say, and credit assets to that family's credit to never have to pay taxes. Suppose it's everybody in your family. How much wealth is that accumulating in your family when you're out of this side right here? It's a lot if it's everyone in your family. Suppose if it was everyone on your block. I'm just saying, in your neighborhood, how much collective money could come out of your, let's say, if you had 30 people on a block, which you might very well have, 30 people on a block who are paying taxes. And if you add up the taxes that they would pay, say, in a week, that might come to, what, $10,000, $15,000? Say $15,000 a week for just the people on your block. $15,000 a week. Now suppose everybody in your block, if they were solid, took that $15,000 worth of credit, because you know it's not money, and invested it in the neighborhood. What would your community look like? You see, that's 15 grand a week going back into your neighborhood. Right? That's landscaping. That's if that fund would go into a pool that would just be used for the neighborhood only. Imagine how much you could do with that as a community. Right? Significantly, you could have your own school for your own children. And this is where we are. We are that community, even though we all don't live in the same block. We are that family, we are that community that's taking this all out right here, saying tax is non-existent, and we do for ourselves because value equals value. Right? Okay, it's our time. We're going to take a little break. We're going outside to say our prayer, and then we will come back in and we will finish this up before 11 o'clock, I promise you. You have to wait a second. Oh, I brought the next. Take a break. Islam. As we all know, power moves in silence. Power moves in silence. We've talked about that before. Number 2, the S of Islam. It runs in the blood. It deals with yourself. Something very interesting happened in your family years and years ago. Something you didn't know. Something happened in your family where someone in your family, long before you were born, gave their last will and tested men. Even if it was only by words on their deathbed, and they made a vow, they made a sacred covenant to come back at some point in time, that someone in their family line would correct the wrongs that were done. That someone in their family line would come back and be empowered. That someone in their family line would come to bring justice, if you will, to be the ones to balance the scale, something that they couldn't do. And therefore, you are healed. This is why this is not for everyone. And so often, people cannot even hear what you're saying, no matter how logical you make it. They don't seem to get it. The light doesn't come on for them. And it cannot, because no one in their bloodline, down through the past, gave a last will and testament that someone would come and vindicate the family. Imagine that your family is in chaos, that your family is losing all of its land, is losing its wealth, the government is being destroyed, the empire is falling. What do you do when there's nothing physical that you can do? yet there's something metaphysical you must do. And this is something, somebody said, you put it into the ether, forever, into the Akashic record. And someone in your family did that for you. And that's what brings you here at this moment in time. And this is a very glorious moment in time because the rise of the Moorz is occurring through each one of us. And it cannot and will not happen unless we do it. The reason is because there is no one else in the world as close to it as we are. Now, can you imagine if you close your eyes and think of someone in your family who loved you that much to do that for you, that you wouldn't have to suffer forever at the hands of a beast? Somebody knew enough to put that in place to bring this around. Somebody knew enough about astrology to put documents in place that would trick the Avalon and keep them at a certain juncture where they could not rise and actually take our seat. Took somebody a whole lot of thought and energy to do that. Power is right. And that power moved in silence until the time was right. It moved so slowly and so unsuspectedly that the people who were rising at the time thought they had it made. It's in the bag. We've got it all now. It's just a matter of time before we can just wipe these people off the face of the earth and the whole world will be ours and nothing but our kind to rule it. Unseemingly, this power was growing. This is the story of their horror movie, of every horror story they have to tell, especially the more recent ones, Armageddon, The Last Days, Revelation. They fear all these things that are yet to come. In the last will and testament that someone put in place for you, they didn't know what you would look like. They only knew that would come through their bloodline. Okay? And they only knew that at some point in time, when the zodiac, when the planetary lineup was right, that you would find out. They didn't know how, but that it would come from inside out. They didn't know what would spark it, what would bring you to some class in some downtown Camden location. Who could know that? All of the places where this power is thought to rise, there has been a military buildup to stop it. There has been a media campaign to stop it. There has been money put out, extended over and over, and millions and billions of dollars put out to stop it. And all of the places where they thought it would come from, it's not there. It's coming from a place where nobody thought to look. From within.
Now you said that, because I am age 9, we watch all the groups they have destroyed. The Black Panthers, which means
Yes.
every group came with guns with some kind of ammunition.
Yes.
Nobody came with guns.
Right.
Nobody came with knowing who they were.
Right.
They just came. The distraction that they came with made them think it was to always come with a fight and not the head and the heart.
Right. Because they look for something physical.
Right.
And as we know, the fight has to begin on the spiritual side, which is what we did tonight. So what you have done tonight, let no man, or mankind or beast, undo. It's done forever. Number 3. The L of Islam, the silent witnesses. We are the silent witnesses left behind to the destruction and chaos, to the expansion of all kinds of atrocities and horrors that many of us can only imagine that have taken place all around the world. The media doesn't even begin to tell the story. Part of that story we're going to find at Fort Mifflin in a few weeks. We are the silent witnesses in every movie they show. There's a Fed someplace. I was watching Godfather. In the very beginning of the movie, when little Vito, I believe he's 8 or 9-year-old boy coming from Italy, is in Ellis Island, and all of these Moors with feds are walking around in the immigration. They're not part of the script. They don't have any part to say. They're not doing anything, just kind of walking around in the crowd and this and that. So the implication is that they're there, but they're not doing anything. Why? Because they're silent witnesses. We have been silent witnesses to the takeover of our empire. Because the encroachment was so slow, we didn't realize it until it was too late. And once it was too late, everybody had forgotten Islam. No one knew what to do. So every challenge came with force, as you talk about, because that was the only way people knew to fight. And the most powerful way to fight, people thought, was weak. Because normally people think that if you sit around and you don't talk much, you're not important. You don't know anything, because if you did, you would certainly talk about it. Rather than to think the most wise talk the least. We have been silent witnesses to murder, to theft, to rape. And when I say murder, I don't mean just some random murder. I'm talking about calculated, premeditated, well-planned murders of masses of people, individuals and masses of people over a period of time. Total genocide. When we talk about AIDS, we talk about mass murder. When we talk about the flu, we talk mass murder. When we talk hepatitis, we talk mass murder. When we talk meningitis, we talk mass murder. It doesn't appear to be mass murder because it doesn't have that name flashed all across the media that says physical violence. There was gunshots today, and 7 people were shot. Not that there was an outbreak of Legionnaire's disease and 7 people were killed. It doesn't appear to be mass murder. It is.
Like syphilis, and when they finally discovered that, they deliberately kept those men with syphilis.
Yes, and let me tell you this. Syphilis comes from what? Having sex with animals. You will not get syphilis having sex with a Moor. More specifically, syphilis is a disease from mouth to sexual organ contact with animals. You can't get syphilis any other way. So when people talk syphilis, you see what I'm saying? When they talk syphilis in our community, they're talking one thing: injection into your bloodstream. Because there's not that many of us out there oral sex with animals, okay? That's the only way to get syphilis. And in those communities where there are lots, and there are communities out there where people are having sex with animals, okay, let's face it, that's reality, they're going to have syphilis. So, right, when you talk syphilis in our community, you're talking mass murder. We have been silent witnesses to those things. Now, power moves in silence, but there's a silence we cannot keep, and that's the silence of our internal power. The reason that Moors wear red. That red of the Moors means something very powerful, and this is why in no other culture can the women wear a red turban. And the placenta red, red of the Fez means that there's a son born of that woman who wears red, who can wear that red turban. There's nobody else in the world who can wear that red turban except us. Now, why is red such a powerful color? Why do we wear it? That red, in both of these cases, translates to spiritual power. In other words, if you have the audacity to wear red on your head, you have the capacity of spiritual destruction. That's a lot of power. So we should not wear red turbans arbitrarily. Our white pheasants with the gold tassel is a symbol of peace and rulership in government. And this is why I said to you a long time ago, we need to stop wearing those red turbans. Not permanently, but the time is not yet, and we need to be very selective when and where we wear it. We didn't know that before. But this is spiritual power and spiritual war. No one can exact a spiritual war the way a Moorish woman can. You know the saying, hell hath no fury, like that of a woman scorned. This is why. When she wears her red bonnet, so we will be silent as silent witnesses on the outside. But on the inside, we'll be wearing our war bonnet. So we're going to have events coming up where we're going to pay particular attention to wear our turbans instead of this. The testament to this power is the fact that, I don't know if you know, that the islands all over the world, predominantly the islands in this hemisphere, were not occupied by Moors until about the 15th, 16th century. And it was during the time that the Albions began to take over. And the Moorish women were conducting ceremonies. They were known as witches. And anyone who was known to practice witchcraft, they couldn't burn them, as the story is told. Because what happens to a witch when you burn it? You send its spirit soaring into the Elohim. So, they didn't physically burn us at the stake. That would be too dangerous. They even tried, and it scared them to death, of cutting off our heads and even killing us. But it got to a point where the power, even in killing us, was not releasing them and not giving them what they wanted. So they had to come up with another method of getting rid of us. And that method was to immobilize us and maroon us on islands. And that's why all of the islands of the world are populated by our people. We did not go there and occupy those islands voluntarily because they were too isolated. Most of them, until recent times, I'd say in the past 20, 30 years, did not even have ports and docks big enough to receive cargo ships. Even in, and I can tell you this personally, even in the island of St. John, it wasn't until early 90s that they had a dock big enough to receive a cargo ship. Okay? Okay? All they had was ferry boats and little fishing boats that could dock on the island, but no ship. The water wasn't deep enough to receive a ship, first of all, and second of all, they had no piers to receive a ship. So all of the houses were like moderate construction and this and that, and it wasn't until, like I said, in the 90s could they do massive construction on the island because they had no way to get those building materials onto the island. So now, how in the world did all of these so-called slaves get to those islands? They couldn't. They had to, all of their people had to be taken their own small boat. Now, what was the success rate of these Albions in taking all of these Moorish women and their children and families to these islands if they were caught practicing witchcraft? What was the benefit? The land. No, they were already taking over the land through intermarriage and the family. Okay? The benefit was that by mobilizing those women, they took the women who were the most powerful of the quote-unquote witches. And that's why voodoo and all those things are so prevalent, and roots and all that, on those islands, because those women are still the most knowledgeable in that science. But now, even they have lost the truth of what it is, and they have a bastardized version of what that is. So they too were made to be silent witnesses to the goings-on and the chaos that came as a result of that migration, that forced migration. We were fortunate. What happened to us here is that the ones who knew better shut up. They refused to pass the science on to their children, and they would not discuss their history. They would not discuss certain things here and there, like you all talk about your mother saying different little things and stuff like that. Bits and pieces got handed down and managed to eke its way through. But the majority of that science never found its way to us. These are things that were never taught in the school system anyway. They were taught at home. They were taught in the communities and passed down generation after generation. So pretty much everyone in our community knew what to do. And one of the things that I have to share this part with you, and I'm not going to share any more of it with you than this. We were silent witnesses to a dramatic change, and I'm going to explain to you one of the ways, one of the most powerful ways that the Albions took over our government, our land, our families, our businesses, and our economy. You know what alabaster is? Or you know. Alabaster is gypsum. Do you know what the modern trade name for gypsum is? Come on, Jeremiah. I'm going to tell you the power of silence. Of course, you know Don didn't even tell you. Said, I'll just tell him. And he was right with him, yeah. Elder too. I said, I'll just tell a little bit. Alabaster. Can you see it? Alabaster. A bastard Moor. How do you create bastard Moors? You put sheetrock in the house. And it's going to destroy a marriage. You put sheetrock in a house, it's going to make sure that your daughters have children and never get married. Oh, guarantee. I guarantee you that if you have sheetrock in your house, you're not going to get married. And if you're married, you're going to get divorced. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. There are no exceptions to the rule. So the act doesn't lie to you. Yeah.
Can you tear it out?
You can tear it out. You better. And when they designed public housing all around the country, and our people flocked to that public housing, and then all of these little children born and mothers on welfare, all public housing is full of what? Mothers on welfare, because they're not married to the father's wife. They can't get married, no matter what they do, because that alabaster is in their midst. And then, for those of you who got lucky and weren't in public houses and were in those old houses that had concrete and brick and stone walls and all that, guess how they got you? They created little statues out of alabaster. One of the most famous ones is that little King Tut statue. with the little doohickey snake on the head. Then another one was the Sphinx. And they put them on the street corners in your community. And what did you do? You went out and brought the alabaster right to your house. Gotcha. Yes.
What does that alabaster do to the vibration of the makeup?
You see gyps. Gyps, like gypsy, gyp. What does gyp somebody mean? Trick. Deceive. It deceives the signal. It mixes up and scrambles the signal. So you never get there. That message never gets there. That message of love and loyalty and you know, true love and all that, it never reaches the other party. Can't get there.
So going back to the will and the testament, if somebody in my family will this to be,
Will what?
as far as,
For you to find the truth.
is that all?
Yes, sir.
No, it can't be.
I'm not saying that that's all. You think that somebody in your family willed it for you to be subject to alabaster. Is that what you're saying?
If they had this knowledge,
They didn't know. Here's what happened. The Moors created alabaster for the Albion. They didn't have marriages.
wait. You're saying that the Moors, my ancestors are Moors, they know about the alabaster.
They knew.
All right, so
Yes.
now, they might not have known how it was going to change hands. and
That's
what it would
correct.
do.
Right. The script got flipped.
Right.
Now, then what happened was, we ended up in those properties that had the alabaster. But originally, we didn't live in those properties that had alabaster, and we didn't have alabaster in our homes at all. But all of those little raggedy, small, little door, little window houses was built with alabaster in it. Not built for us, built for them. What happened is, as they began to marry into our families and take our wealth, we systematically over the years ended up in those houses without even knowing it, because we had lost the science. This is the value of science, and this is the value when I tell people, oh, you've been missing class. They say, oh, well, okay, Just like you see, Ella, as I said, how much have I missed? A whole lot of it. It's hard to say. When you miss a few weeks of class, you miss almost a lifetime of information. Don?
There's something about Gypsum board we know that how many architects do you know in our community? Now, all of them are mostly artists. In those societies, in those circles, that you study what gypsum board really is. When you see them, they don't even touch gypsum board with their hands, because they know what it is. You happen to know because we are the trade. I wasn't sure until recently what that was. Even the chemical composition of gypsum board has it's really bad when it's in there. That's why it's contained in those things.
Between the two papers.
Of paper.
I'm sure it came with asbestos.
So you think it's something
Worse.
because
It's worse than that.
Okay.
Asbestos, you will eventually recover from it if you get away from it. Not alabaster, as long as asbestos you can encapsulate it. Encapsulate it so that the fibers don't escape. Alabaster, you can't encapsulate that. It'll seep through. The energies of it will seep through whatever you put on top of it or around it. It doesn't matter. Yes.
Yeah, but now, the purpose of it, why would he bring something like that into existence?
To make sure, see, if the Moors had never started having sex with animals, no reason for this. No reason for this. The reason for this was to prevent those children, those mothers, those of the Albion race from being able to marry into our family. That's why it was created. But the script got flipped again. Because what happened is sheetrock became so popular and so inexpensive that it's everywhere. It's the predominant building material in houses today. And what happened is the Albion started to use it in their homes in the suburbs. And what happened? Divorce rates shot up, right? Teen pregnancies, unwed mothers shot up. And now in their communities, there's chaos. Yes. And then what did they do? They destroyed all of those high rises. There are people were living that had alabaster in there, and they disseminated them back out into the row houses in the communities where what? There's no alabaster. In most of those old houses in the communities, they just painted and did some stuff, and in almost all of them, there's no alabaster.
And you know, the scripture said that thing, and they also, about 35 years ago, you lived in a house, and it made no difference. The lead paint kept people more aware 40 years ago.
Yes.
The lead paint kept from seeping through.
Yes.
They sent people into your home
Yes, that's
and
right.
burned the paint off the wall.
Get rid of
and
lead.
chaos.
To let the alabaster
come through.
Because lead encapsulates. Lead will encapsulate.
Right.
But just like you wear the lead thing when you're taking the X-ray.
Right.
Yes. But even with the lead, some of it was still getting through because you still had the problem.
Right.
But after they did that, you're right. It destroyed them even more.
What can you put on the walls in place of that sheet rock?
Plywood. There's all kinds of plywood. Jeremiah can tell you about
Plywood.
all kinds of plywood, pine, cedar,
Yeah, I seen some
oak,
nice ones.
walnut, mahogany, all kinds of plywood, and the price is not that much different. But nobody wants to buy plywood anymore because automatically they go into gypsum. Yes.
Now, in the video here, it speaks of the alabaster box. You familiar with that? Well, what does that really mean? What does that
It says right here. Beware gifts. Beware strangers bearing gifts. And this is one of the reasons why officials in government are not allowed to receive gifts. Because it might be alabaster, it might be an alabaster ashtray, it might be a little alabaster doll. So they make, dolls out of that stuff. It might be a little alabaster pipe or some little trinket, a necklace out of alabaster. And what do you know? There you have it. And there it is in your home. You better go home and destroy all these little bastards.
You know something? Like I said, they have a room. Every time they send the mayor a gift, they got a room, almost as big as this. Everything that he's gotten in the last 2 years, he takes nothing home. Good. They catalog.
Good.
And I kept saying, why did he have all this stuff and I'm taking home?
They take it after the term is up.
But he
But see, they don't have anybody who in this time of now to do that.
No.
Okay?
No.
Right? And chances are he already has it in his house. They even have the little columns, the pretty little Greek ionic columns, and they look like little pedestals there. That's alabaster. You better get rid of it. Yes.
In some government buildings, like in UK, and also in Moorish, they have the gypsum boards in the offices, and they just blow them down. Because all the problems between the employees or something like that. And also, what they started doing, like in places like UK, Catholic Church started making all these virgins for the baby in the hands and it's alabaster.
Alabaster, that's right, the little Jesus figurines and all that.
And every family,
And they had their country, they did that on purpose.
yeah, and has they started making plates, for people to be everyday with that kind of.
Plate?
Oh, yeah.
Made of alabaster. See? Plate? I didn't know that.
Remember those,
ornaments.
some of those old houses got
Ornamental plate. Oh, okay.
the slat and the plaster. Was that any good?
What?
The old slats and the plaster?
Slats
Behind the wall, on the wall. Which slats and plaster? Was that?
Like my house last
Oh, you know another name for it? Oh, yeah. Plaster powder.
Oh. So that wasn't no good either?
No.
Oh.
In the craft show.
Arts and crafts.
Oh, yeah, arts and crafts, right, yeah, sure. That's all about it. You're gonna let me? All right, so that's that. So, a silent war going on? You think there's not a silent war going on out there? You're mistaken. There's been a silent war going on against us for hundreds of years. Hundreds, if not a couple of thousands of years, and here we are, silent, mumble the word. We don't like a little mumble. See no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil. That's it. A few more minutes. All right? So, is that a testament to your silent war? That's just a little bit. I haven't begun to tell you about the silent war. All right, number 4, the chosen people. Who are they? We read about them all the time in the Bible. Everybody claims to be them. Are you them? Say the Jews. The Jews are the chosen people. Are they? But we are the Jews. Huh?
We're the elves, they're not the elves.
Right, we're both.
You're all
Okay.
There's another scripture that distinctly tells you that the Egyptians are the chosen people also.
I've never seen that, and you know what? Huh?
It's in the Bible.
That the Egyptians are the chosen people?
Egyptian people.
Oh, well, you know where Egypt is. In the womb. Okay, so that's from that standpoint. Okay, but now, the chosen people are the Moors. Of course. No one else. Why the Moors? Why them? What did they have that's different, that's special? Why should they be the chosen people? Spirit? Come on, let's give me a little more. Huh?
They had originality, they came from Zodiac.
Yes.
The Elohim, when we were in the image and in their rights, but they brought us into existence.
The Elohim. There you go. Yeah, it's Elohim too, but it's this. The vibratory rate of the Moors is so high. What even brings you close to this information? It's the vibratory rate of your bloodline. I'm going to tell you something that's so deep. I don't know if Charles mentioned this the other night in class about blood transfusions and all that. About cleaning the blood.
Yes, we did.
You talked about that. That you can't do it.
Right.
Well, some of you may not have been. That you can't take the blood out of your body, clean it, and put it back in. The whole idea of it is loophole. Because there's only one way to clean blood, and that is oxygen. Oxygen breathed in. Now, how else are you going to get the oxygen into the blood? Through a vacuum tube, injected in there, like you do, you can inject carbon dioxide into water, you can carbonate a liquid, right? Even when you get into a pool of water and you see the little bubbles and stuff on your skin, is that oxygen? It's not. That's your body breathing out. Your body does not breathe out oxygen. It's not possible. You breathe out what? And only carbon dioxide. Nothing. So now, if it's in your bloodline, and there's no way to clean your blood outside of your body, the vibratory rate of your blood is already instilled in you from your mother. No one can change that. No one can go into your bloodstream and change your vibratory rate. Not possible, right? The only one who can change your vibratory rate is you. No one else can do that. You change your vibratory rate according to one thing and one thing only. Information that you take in. Because, of course, the DNA is the master recorder. and it never forgets. It records everything. So once it's recorded, what happens? The vibratory rate jumps up. Another recording, the vibratory rate jumps up. Another recording, the vibratory rate jumps up. Nothing ever comes out of that recorder. That recorder doesn't lose any information. So the vibratory rate can never go down. That seems kind of... Huh? The tape never erases. So every little increment of improvement, of increase in that vibratory rate, makes you that more, means you're that more solid or more. That's what makes you different, is that your vibratory rate is so high, you cannot possibly think the way a slave thinks. It's destiny, it's your fate, that you could not stay there no matter what you did. You couldn't stay there. And of course now, with what you know, you can't go back. That's the dilemma with everyone who has come to our doors and heard that slightest bit of truth. Something got through. The vibratory rate was increased just a little bit, and even when they couldn't continue to get the information, they couldn't go back. They can't go back to being that state board that they once were. They can't. They have a dilemma of trying to live with what little they know about sovereignty in a state board fashion, because there's only one world. And more, as we grow and as we move in silence and exert our power, the more difficult it is going to be for anyone to live in a state board status. And it's not our fault. It's a consequence of our growth. Something has to give. And what has to give and what is going to give is the state board side. They're going to have to pay tribute to the Moors. The golden age. The true golden age. We have read in books that the golden age of the Moors has come and gone. I tell you that is not true. There was an age of the Moors where they lived in glorious times, and at that time, the Albion beast had not yet been created. We had not suffered under that chaos. We had not been exposed to that animal nature. We had not experienced the ripple effect of our actions. Now we have. In a way, we know more than our ancestors, because they did not have to live under such conditions. They were born in conditions of peace, and they lived all their lives in peace. They did not experience all of the trauma and drama that we experience today. They did not live in alabaster homes, right? They didn't have that. They didn't have to experience all of this epidemic of an epidemic of genocide. They did not have to experience that the way we have. They did not have to experience being locked up at the drop of a hat. We've had to experience all these things, and the master recorder is still clicking away of everything that has happened. Now, with the knowledge of all those things, we have the experience and the wisdom to move forward. We have the benefit of the glory of our ancestors. We have the benefit of being able to tap into that recorder and say, hey, ancestors, how did you do this? How did you do that? And couple what they knew and what they were able to do with what we are now dealing with today, and create the true golden age of the Moors. It's going to happen through us. And it is happening through us. We are witnesses to everything that we see in the media today with all of the chaos that's going on out there. What is going to happen when we finally put money back on the table? And everybody, all the nation states in the world have been dealing with credit and fraud. What happens when the truth shows up? When truth walks in the room? But there's going to be chaos first. Expect that.
It's the same way that you take internal prayer in the dark room.
Yes.
darkness vanishes.
Yes.
So the truth coming in, falsehood would vanish. But it would have to be in order for us to rise so high.
That's true.
It was something like a initiation period, I would say, just in my own words. It was something that we needed to go through to experience, so that now this is on record, that we have the experience that this will never happen again. And that's what makes it so golden, because eyes have not seen and ears have not heard what we're going to bring into existence.
Right. Well, one of the other things, and you're right, they haven't, but they soon will. And one of the other things is that all of you know that animals have a pattern. Animals have their own system in their lives. They have a system, a sense of family. Who is the prey, or what is the prey? And they uniformly go after the prey. And they uniformly work together and live together in their respective communities, right? Here you have a beast that has no rules. There's always exceptions to their rules. Everywhere across the board, there's exceptions to the rules. That's not even like your typical animal. It's deviant animal behavior. Conniving. It's deviant animal behavior.
I don't know what's saying this word, right? But the beast doesn't have a inner Makari.
Have a what?
An inner Makari. An inner Makari. In other words, like us. Like the way we are, we have something built in us that won't allow us to do the deviant things that they have, because they don't have it in us. It's like a government.
Well, I wouldn't say that, you see, because it was Moors who first deviated and started having sex with animals. Oh, yeah?
But they run away from their role.
Right, but they knew, you see, and that's the difference.
That's a double win.
That's a double win. What happened was this. There's two folks. There's the Moors who said, no, now that they're there, we won't teach them. We won't civilize them. There were the others that said, you know what? We're going to kill all of them. And that's how they felt. They're here. Well, that's too bad. We'd rather reap the karma over killing all of them than reap the karma over allowing them to live and teach them. So, somebody had to win. And of course, the ones who wanted to kill them all, lost. The ones who said protect them and all that, and the movie From Hell, well, Jack the Ripper showed it so well. I recommend you see that movie. Yeah, it shows it very well how the Moors even financed the experiment for them to continue. Okay? So therefore, you have all these birds, and all of these birds were actually in hospitals, and then in those hospitals, they were conducting more and more experiments, and the Moors raised money for more experiments. So they were really pushing the envelope, and knowingly pushing the envelope. So what you're saying about this difference between the two is that you have Moors who made the conscious choice to jump, boom, on the bad side, on the dark side, like the Jedi.
Yeah. I guess during that time, during our ancestral time, their vibratory was higher than ours. Now,
Yes.
which I can say that they were closer to communicating with their ancestors and the Elohims.
Yes.
Well, it's hard for me to understand why they would not communicate with the Elohim to say, are we doing this, or what we're doing, a good thing or a bad thing? You know,
Well, in my mind, the saying goes, absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Exactly.
When you have no accountability for your actions, and you do a little bit of corruption, you say, oh, well, I got away with that. Then if you wanted to do it again, you have the power to do it again, still with no accountability. And I take this when it comes to someone who commits a murder. Because that's the epitome of disregard for life when you commit a murder. Okay? For whatever the reason, you disregarded that individual's life here and you did that. Okay? Once you've done it, it's easier to do it a second time. It's like the man who beats his wife. Once he's hit her one good time, it doesn't take much to hit her a second time. Or once you beat your child, I mean really beat them, I don't mean like that. I mean beat them. It's easier to beat them again because you crossed the line the first time. So the second time you're not crossing any line. You're already over it. Exactly.
What point is it though, because like we were sharing, what we do is we get away from our moral compass. All right? And the double whammy is that we participated in it, now it's here. And the destruction is partly on us.
Yes.
And that's when we're going to go into hiding and we don't want to realize what we have participated in.
Right.
So that's enough for a boy to go to sleep. If we participated in that kind, and the devil they created is right in front of them. They see the damage they have done. And one of the things that the damage they've done is more the psychological damage. See, if you can kill a person, you kill the body, a lot of times the body is not around for you to look at. But the psychological damage you do to an individual when you kill his expectation is far worse. And that was what was accomplished. We have a whole mass of people who have no way out because their expectations were killed. And they don't know about this. They're out there in that no man's land. They know it's going on. How did I participate in this? One of the wonderful things that one of the Queen's classes that she told us is that our responsibility for what happened. And you have to come full circle and accept your responsibility in what has happened. And you're halfway home.
Right. And we've done that.
We've done that.
We've done that. I think I can feel secure that we've done that here.
And you know, I'm closing my eyes when I say this, but we sit here all the time that you talk. We have to understand why we're here. We have to understand we are the ancestors that did it. We are the ancestors that are waking up within. We are not here because we want to be here. We are here because we made a pact to be here.
Yes.
But you have to also understand the same ones that made the pact are the same renegades that are outside, the same ones that sit here among us to keep strife and things going on. And when I speak, I am speaking from somewhere else, and I close my eyes, because when it comes to me, and I'll say it over and over again, people, let's come together on one accord, stop questioning, because there's no question, and the answer lies within you. If you did it the first time, and you made a pact to come back this time to right the wrongs you thought, right the wrongs that you did, to right the wrongs that you're still trying to do, there's no win this time. That's right. There's no win. She was outside. She spoke tonight, and she said, you are the light. You need not light the light tonight. Okay? Listen what was spoken. And that is what she said. And she said, I will put it out if you hold your hand. I will put it out if you put it low. I am telling you tonight, people, you are the light.
You are the light.
Allow it to shine through the darkness that you think. Allow it not to lose focus on where you're going. Stand tall. You can't hide. You can only fall. And this I say, so motivate.
So motivated. Thank you.
That's why I had to say when I came in this home. And I will tell you, some of the ones who were there, they were shaking in their pants. Because she spoke tonight like she never spoke loudly. She spoke loudly and she cleared the way for what to be.
Yes, she did.
And I'm telling you, they were trembling. They were trembling.
The path is off.
So it shook. That's why they did the same thing. They felt the mighty earth tremble upon their feet.
Thank you.
That was his purpose. It happened so, can't find the word, but it happened so greatly among us that we could not come in no other way but time, because we were affected by it. While we were even speaking on it, talking about that we don't need the light because we are the light. The light is within us.
Yeah, and that's why I say the only way this is going to happen is through us. There's no other way for this to happen. The power of the United States, can you imagine all the people around the world who rebelled against the United States, the Republic? And the Republic has been going out squashing movement after movement. Anybody who lifts a finger, anybody who raises a gun, pretends to raise a gun against the United States. Because everybody thinks that the United States is them. And the United States is us. And all those so-called boys out there claim to come from some Moorish nation, God knows where that is. All right? And nobody claiming the United States that our ancestors left for us. So here we are, we say no. The United States is ours. And all the resources of this land are ours. And we will benefit. We will live cost exempt in our own land, and we will make everybody else who settled here and conduct their trade here pay us for doing so. That will happen. So motivate. It is not finished. Now, for all those people out there who left, we don't wish them any harm. They didn't have the strength to take it, because you've got to be strong to be here. For anybody who has questions, for anybody who has doubts, I don't ask anybody to stay. And many of you have said what your doubts are and your fears and this and that, and I say, fine. I try to give you inspiration, but I will never ask anybody to stay and break through, because I can't make you break. That is in your blood and in your heart. And if you don't have it, I ask you to leave. Don't stay, because I don't want weakness around me. This seal will be raised, no question about it. And we will do it. Yes.
And it's not so much that the people who left, and of course we wish them no ill will,
Right.
but they're not supposed to be here. If
Right.
your vibratory break is not there, you will leave.
That's right.
No matter how you leave,
That's all to it.
you want to leave because the vibratory rate is not there to stay. To be in the presence, and you can't make it. It's like trying to put a round peg in a square hole.
Right.
It's not going to fit.
That's right.
And so they have to. And it's okay.
And it's fine. It's the best thing. It's the only way. It's the only way. You're right. Yeah.
There's one thing that I do want to say, though, and I think that we need to applaud you for being so sensitive to the message of the hour tonight. I
The
mean,
message of the hour.
yeah, well, the reason
Which
why-
is what? The rise of the Moors?
Right. Right. Because you had this, and you had to be sensitive to such a time as now to bring it out.
Oh, I've got so much more.
I know.
Look, you see, a lot of people left because they thought we hadn't finished our syllabus yet. Because we had not finished taking all of the classes that we took years to prepare and put them on paper. And all they saw was 2 or 3 series of classes. So they thought, oh, well, that's it, we got it, and we're gone. And now what? We've got like 10 to 12 to 13 more series of classes that they never had and can never have because they thought they had it all. And now we have yet to even cover the master's classes. We haven't even had a single master's class yet. I'll put it this way. We have them. We have not taught them yet. I'll put it to you that way. Because even somebody, and it would say to me, I said in class one night, we're going to have class in the dark.
Oh, God. They ran like the
Shut out of here, haven't seen it yet. Don't understand. We're going to have class in the dark. We're going to have classes where you're not going to write any notes. Be comfortable with it now. Let me see. And write all you can write down, because when we get to the master class, there's no writing anything down. Oh, that's the heavy stuff. Do you think I sit and have all these notes that you have?
No.
I don't.
You know how I know you don't?
I don't.
You know how I know you don't? How do you put it up on the board and you never look at the notes? You go straight to it.
Sometimes when I have a lot of data, I'll put like different notes and stuff, and the stuff I put on the board, but I can bet you that you all have more notes than me.
You are there. You know what it is, though.
What?
Because you got it, and we got to forget it.
Okay. That's what I said. You are there. Huh?
You are
I'm there. And there's some things that we sit and we fight over what we should teach you yet. We have to argue over that. Sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. Huh?
But it's like, lay in the Moors say, don't tell them nothing else, and you say, let's go. And then they say, remember that last time? And you say,
Oh yeah. And we have that battle all the time. All right? But we still have a point where we have to reach. And even though we have not taught a single master's class yet, you know more than almost anybody else in the world of the science of Islam. Wow. That's saying a lot. You know more about astrologics than the Pope.
stop.
Yes. I'm telling you. I'm not lying to you. I'm not lying to you. You look at the Pope and look at his breastplate. Right. Oh yeah, he's Oh yeah, he's reversed.
Oh God.
I'm just saying how much. I haven't seen him in a long time. But his breastplate. How do you know that Zodiacus moves like this and have a breastplate that looks like that? How do you do that and tell me you're a master? And then you got your gemstones lined up like this on your breastplate? Don't tell me you're a master and Zodiacus moves in a circle. Don't do that to me. Don't tell me that. Don't recite your prayers and you don't know the correct name of the Elohim and tell me you're a master. Don't do that to me. I'll call you a liar to the world. You don't know as much science. It's just a matter of time. We have already won the spiritual war. All we need to do is start putting things in place and pulling the strings. You don't have to see the puppeteer to know he's there. And that's our goal. Our golden age is yet to come. Imagine what we'll know a year from now. Imagine where we'll be. Are there any questions? Islam Moorish.